me just bring in one final one. I just want to know, from the committee, will a committee, a secretariat be actually elected or selected actually today? The criticism and the concern coming from the various civil society groups here is that they don't know some of these people that must be selected. But of course, all these people that will be sitting on this committee need to represent every sector of society.
No, definitely. I think one of the key issues is that there's a dialogue. The participants and delegates are raising their concern and are trying to find a way of strengthening the process to make sure that it's truly representative, including the leadership which will be constituted for the steering committee. We just completed here. We are looking into the recommendations, and I think we will still be ending the meeting in a good note of saying, if we don't elect here, the decision is that we don't elect here, a process will be put in place which will be able to ensure precisely that consultations are taking place and they truly represent their constituencies.
But wouldn't you say that is a futile exercise? Because I was speaking to Uzandi from Operation Dudula earlier on, saying that delegates need to elect, delegates need to select whoever's going to sit on that committee today.
No. That was never a position. The position was that we put in place a process of constituting the steering committee. We knew that some sectors could be ready and therefore they can identify their reps. We knew before this meeting that some sectors will not be ready and therefore a process will have to be put in place. We have always said that a timeline of 2 weeks will be established after this convention to ensure that that process is properly done and is truly representative.
So how will this steering committee be selected? Do people vote for them? What happens?
Remember, the sectors are already existing. Therefore, they have their own internal processes, how they were constituted and how they identify their leadership. It is through that process which will assist us. They will design the process of how they are going to elect them, and therefore they will implement that. They will leave us with the confidence of what we will be seeking is for them to share with the convention what that process is, what does it entail, how will it fold out, so that when we receive it, we are able to verify that indeed this was the process that the sectors have identified and chosen themselves collectively.
So your general observation, so meaning after this, the acting president will close, the national convention. But how would you rate yourself as a committee? Are you happy with the processes that unfolded here? Could you tell us on SABC that indeed this was a citizen-led process? What concessions can you make? What have you learned from this process as well?
I mean, one of the things that I can say we have achieved so far is that the convention started well yesterday, and what has happened today in particular was the demonstration of what to expect when we go to the actual dialogues. So that we must prepare ourselves, we must have a trained people to ensure that we don't get frustrated. We must be patient with the South Africans in this process. And the discussions here is a clear demonstration that this is a citizen-led. The Deputy President is not going to close the meeting. The meeting will be closed by the EPG. And I'm convinced that the process, the leadership that is going to be elected, remember, the leadership has a simple role, which is the leadership of the process. There are going to be subcommittees, and the process is going to evolve from the what level. And that what the leadership will have to do in their role is to safeguard the voice of ordinary South Africans, that they truly reflect and represent the final report, represent that voice. That's what the leadership, the steering committee will do. But the process itself will be defined and undertaken by South Africans, right from the what level upward. And it is going to be truly South African-led. Obviously, the question that you can raise, which will question whether the amplified voice of South Africans was respected, is what will happen with the outcome of the conference or of the national dialogue after the consultation. That is what is going to define whether it is truly citizen-led, because it will be their voices that say this must happen in this particular manner. And that, I believe, cannot be negotiable. That's what must define the success of this dialogue process.
So thank you so much for your time. Well, Oliver, a number of views are coming from various political parties, coming from people from the Eminent group, and of course the committee as well, the organizing committee here, at UNISA. Of course, you've heard it. We did expect, the selection of, the committee, the steering committee, but of course, various sectors still need to select their candidates. And about in 2 weeks' time, correct me if I'm wrong, the selection of these committee members will actually take place. Of course, who will be closing this second day of the National Convention will be the Eminent Persons Group and not the acting president there, Paul Mashatile. For that said, let me just leave it here and toss back to you in studio, Oliver.
From the UNISA campus in Pretoria, where the Eminent Persons Group will be closing the ceremony. And of course, we saw a few of them in the shot there while Natasha was doing a number of those interviews.